What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Sunday Reset here on Forward Progress, presented by Fanduel. I'm Rob Pizzola. By now, you know the drill. We'll zoom out on today. I'm going to separate signal from noise. We'll call out surprises, what we nailed, what we missed, key coaching calls, injuries, everything that shaped this week in the NFL. Then we're going to flip it forward. We'll run through the Week 7 openers, give our thoughts on each game, and we'll talk through where we expect the market to go. We do this right after Sunday Night Football, after this scrap between the Chiefs and the Lions, so that you have a sharp, digestible reset waiting on Monday morning. If you're watching live, please hit the like button so more people find this in real time and on Monday. Please subscribe. Please turn on notifications. If you're listening on replay and you like what you hear, please rate and review 5 stars if it's in audio format. All right, let's get into it. He's with me every single Sunday night. Joining me, Clive Bixby. Clive, how's it going?
What's going on?
I don't know. I'm in it's Canadian Thanksgiving here. It's a long weekend. Had Thanksgiving at my in-laws yesterday. Today, football. Thanksgiving at my parents tomorrow. I'm really honest, like a grinder of a weekend. Let's put it that way. So the Jays lost. Leadoff homer by Springer. They get one hit the rest of the game. I lost a little bit of money today. Potentially could have won had I caught that over in the Chiefs game, but it wasn't meant to be. So you know what? It's maybe one of those shows where I'm not feeling as good as some of the days we've had earlier this year, Clive.
Yeah, I mean, when you have those kind of days on the opposite side, when things go really well, that can kind of boost you and give you a little bit of energy going into the rest of the night. Otherwise, it could be a little bit of a slog.
Yeah, I was doing some quick accounting before we went to air as well, because I actually wasn't sure if I won or lost today. Ended up down just over a unit. But then as I'm going through some of the accounting, I'm looking at some of the positions and I'm reliving Saints Patriots over,
That one stung a little.
Yeah, I'm reliving a midweek buyout on the Seahawks as much as I could, at least. I'm made some mistakes this week, but it's part of the process. And I think, you got to learn from them, right?
Yeah, it ends up that we learn more from the mistakes than we do from the victories more often than not, which is kind of an annoying psychological thing, but it kind of is true.
Yep. I'd like to think it is. I like to think
that's the way I learned in poker. I mean, you run good, things happen, and you think you know it all. Same thing with golf, right? There are times where I'm playing and it's I hit 3 or 4 good shots in a row, par, birdie, par, and I'm like, oh, I got this. And then I just get slapped back down into reality and, hey, let's continue to work.
It took me about 15 seconds to realize that you said golf and not Goff. I thought you were talking about Jared Goff. I'm like, well, I guess he did learn the hard way in that Super Bowl loss to the Patriots. And I'm like, I guess it's a weird example, but sure, I'll go with it.
No, golf.
We're coming off the Lions-Chiefs game. I had split screen going, but I was pretty heavily invested in Chiefs in the over tonight. And I was pretty nervous at first. Detroit kind of pounded the rock in the early going, right down the Chiefs' throat, moved it down the field. I'm like, ooh, it's going to be one of those games. Then eventually, Chiefs really committed to stopping the run, and Detroit was kind of content to just keep trying to run the ball down their throats, and it didn't work out. We didn't get the classic Chiefs offensive performance, especially with the amount of corners that were missing for Detroit. But, there was a late scratch, which was a Chiefs left tackle for personal reasons. They didn't really disclose that. That kind of came out of nowhere. It wasn't injury report related. And I think maybe that affected a little bit of their ability to throw downfield. But all in all, I mean, the Chiefs are starting to look like the Chiefs again.
Like the Chiefs. Yeah. I was wondering where the stops were going to come from in this game, just in general. I like both coaches going for it on the 4th downs that they did. I think you have to do that. I think expecting that the other team is only going to get 3 each possessions is not the right way to go about it. A couple drops for the Lions. If those go the other way, I think it's a closer game down towards the end. And it's just, stupid saying, but kind of true, game of inches, and sometimes a singular play or two just kind of changes the way that the game flow goes.
Yep. I hear you. And I think Lions just burning a lot of clock in that game. I mean, you could have anticipated that from a modeling perspective, but as Zach Smith points out in the chat, Rashee Rice back next week for the Chiefs. Watch out. I'm looking forward to seeing that Chiefs offense now that they have the full complement of weapons there. A reminder to everyone, we do see all the chat comments in real time. And if you got opinions on today, drop them in the chat. And later on in the show, when we're talking next week, if you got some early thoughts on a game we're talking about, throw them in the chat as well. We do see them in real time, and we do like to make you guys a part of the show. I'm just gonna beef with the Lions game one more time, and then I'll move on. They get the ball back with a possession to go downfield. They have 4th and 1, 2 minutes and 3 seconds left on the clock. They basically have a free run at that point because it's gonna be the 2-minute warning regardless. Anyways, I know they're not playing to cover to hit the over in the game, but seemed like logically that would have made a lot of sense. You're only gonna take 3 seconds off the clock. You guarantee that the game goes on. I digress, and that's kind of where I'm at today with a little bit of annoyance with certain things. Anything that was big for you today, Clive, from a betting perspective?
Big? No. I had Green Bay exposure in, Survivor, so had a little bit of a sweat at the end there. More than I thought I should have, but, there was a sweat nonetheless.
So I had a lot, I think 100% Green Bay Survivor this week. I don't think I used another team, but I didn't watch a lot of the game. And I'm looking back at the box score afterwards, and I'm kind of like struggling to see how it was a close game. Seems like the Packers offense was relatively efficient. They had an 83% series conversion rate, which is elite, especially on series that started with passes. Looks like they didn't get to third down a whole lot. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird. Like Dan says in the chat, Packers look bad most of the game. That's maybe one where I think maybe the box score doesn't match the eye test, but yeah, just simply speaking, looking at the numbers from the game, I wouldn't have expected it to be close.
Yeah, it just looked like a sluggish kind of game from Green Bay, and I didn't think they were particularly sharp. In the second half, they got it together a little bit, and then, Bengals and Flacco throw the ball into the end zone, and, I'm pretty sure it was Chase makes a good play on the ball, and, then it's closer than it seems to be, and, Zach Taylor goes for 2 there, which I also love when I'm on the other side of something like that. But, Green Bay turned it on-ish when they had to, and nothing more.
Yeah, just purely box score, yards per play, Green Bay 6.8, Cincy 4.3. So 2.5 yards per play advantage for Green Bay. I know there was a few shots to Matthew Golden that they hit in that game. Success rate, Green Bay 58% success rate on offense. They only had 1 turnover. They only punted 2 times. It's a weird one to me where I think maybe it is that you still can't trust Love. He made like a really turnover was just like a boneheaded play where he had nothing. And be interested to talk about that game next week because I know they're going on the road at Arizona. Definitely one of the games of the day in that Baker is like really making the case for an MVP at this point.
I know. Yeah, really, really, really good. And I did say it earlier. I think the first couple of weeks, there were definitely some turnover-worthy plays that he got away with. But, these last 2 weeks, he's been really, really sharp.
Yeah, and they have like a strong vertical game right now.
Even with the injuries, which is amazing.
Exactly. And they're choosing, like, sequencing-wise as well. You look at early downs this game, they had 16 early down dropbacks, and they had just 6 early down rushes. So even with the injuries, they kind of recognize that San Fran is hurting on the D-line, can't generate pressure, and they let Baker drop back and throw the ball. Baker had 6 third down throws today that went past the sticks, and he hit all 6 of them, including 2 40-plus yard touchdowns. And, it's hard. Like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just continue to win games. And San Fran, they're really beat up. At this point, we're going into week 6, and this offense is just humming. It's really challenging with these Tampa Bay games where, like, essentially when they're priced just to win against a team that was as banged up as the 49ers, they just got it done. I got to say, though, Clive, I was actually kind of impressed with the 49ers being able to hang in there for a while. Like, Mac Jones played another good game. With the amount of injuries that they're suffering from, they've been surprisingly competitive.
Yeah, last year, one of the things that I played several times throughout the course of the season was Tampa Bay team total overs. And I would love to be doing that this year. And each week I get surprised, given the injuries that they have offensively, that they still continue to hit over their, or, get close to or hit the number. So I'm having a hard time trusting what I feel like should be happening. But I don't know what has to happen for Baker to win the MVP. I mean, there's 6 games in, there's still 11 left. Like, a lot could happen. I mean, these Panthers, if they end up winning the NFC South there, maybe that would be a little kind of a sweet thing. But there are 2 quarterbacks that I think have played relatively well consistently, and it's Baker Mayfield and Drake May. Like, those 2 have played the best. Are they my first picks if I'm taking out of the quarterback pool? No, it's still probably Josh Allen and then Mahomes. But, I mean, they're playing right there.
Yeah, they're up there. Drake May is, like, he's amazing right now. I mean, to look at New England, New Orleans today, again, sour grapes for me. I bet some over in this game. I believe we actually gave it out on the show last week. We'll recap later on. And that was looking very good. And it just was really bad sequencing towards the end that ended up in some field position changes and stuff like that that killed us. But Drake May is, like, his ADOT today was 11.5, and he put up an amazing drop back EPA. His CPOE was positive, which is very rare for a high ADOT like that. So his accuracy downfield was really good. I mean, they just continue to put out solid outputs, and
they're the 2 most fun guys to watch at quarterback right now, I think. To be completely fair,
you look at every big Patriots drive today, and it flowed through some sort of vertical to Stephon Diggs or to Kayshon Boutte, but they're moving the ball downfield, and you don't really expect the Patriots offense hasn't had that look in a very long time. So, yeah.
Adam put something in chat too, right? Like with the OPI and the refs and all that garbage too. I mean, it's true.
That one was tough. I don't think it's OPI, but in real time, I can see why it was called. Kind of looked like an extension. We have the luxury of seeing it after the fact. I still think the Saints are very lively coming out of that game as well. They hung around on early downs. You just notice, like, the difference in quarterback skill set essentially on the late downs here, where May kept them moving and Rattler didn't, essentially. But I mean, they seemed very live over the course of the game. It's just the Patriots have this is the first time like they truly have a downfield passing attack, and it just makes the world of difference for them.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with the Saints right now. And I mean, we'll talk about that, I'm sure when we get into pricing next week's games, but they are always hanging around. Whereas Tennessee, I almost never feel as live, even though they came back and won a game last week inexplicably. But the Saints always feel live, and it's interesting.
Yeah, this is a good way to put it from Connor in the chat. Saints are scrappy. Like, when you think of the bottom feeding teams in the NFL, you're like kind of okay with betting the Saints, right? At least that's the way I feel. Whereas if it's a team like the Titans or the Bengals, you're like, oh, like, am I really gonna? And that's kind of where the Saints were valued at the beginning of the year. But through 6 weeks now, I think they've dug themselves out of, like, that F tier of teams, and they're a team that, like, they play hard. I'm not a Kellen Moore guy, but I think he's done a really good job this year, and I'm totally fine saying, like, I was wrong on that guy. I'm okay with those with the New Orleans Saints this year.
Yeah, now the bottom of the league, I have Tennessee, and the Jets probably are the next closest, even though that was a weird effing game today too.
Yeah, let's go to that one next.
Sure.
There are some, like, good games I want to talk about. That game was like attrition ball, basically.
Painful.
Like, that was a slog. I love watching football. I am actually a fan of the Europe games because I'm up at that point in the morning anyways, and I can throw one on in the background while I'm working. I like that. But holy shit, was that an awful game today. And it's referenced in the box score. There was 20 first downs combined between the two teams. The Jets had negative 10 passing yards, net passing yards in the game, 1.4 yards per play. Neither team had a success rate over 33%. Like that is nominee for one of the worst football games imaginable, basically.
If I didn't care that I wanted the Jets to win for survivor interests, like, I kind of just wanted the game to be over.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, it was just, I mean, the Jets' late downs was a minus 0.86 EPA. And you know what? Bo Nix still almost gave that game away as well.
I know.
Right? I mean, Denver is really, I know Sean Payton thought he got his quarterback. He was really excited when they drafted Bo Nix. We got our guy. But literally, they are a quarterback away from being a legit Super Bowl contender. And Bo Nix, I guess when he's playing at his like ceiling, he's above average, but you don't get enough games out of that. There's way too inconsistent. And he has too many of the games that are like today, basically, where he's just the reason that it's not a blowout. Because if you look at the defensive numbers for the Broncos in this game and what they held the Jets to, they sacked Justin Fields 9 times in the game.
Yeah.
55 yards. And they're barely, it is not even, Ben Carnavalis says Super Bowl favorites if you replace Knicks with May. I think I agree.
I would say so too. I mean, I think they're one of the teams that I highlighted when we were doing some of our like preseason stuff. Denver was one of them, but it was with the caveat that, yes, they'd be good if Knicks was as the same as last year, but hoping that he progressed a little bit and got a little bit better, and that would take them to the next level. Just that hasn't happened, and at least not consistently. So, fuck. I mean, the AFC West really could have 3 really strong, amazing teams if everybody was healthy and going on all cylinders.
Yeah. We'll shift gears here because I see it in the chat, and it's a natural shifting point here. Grinnif Wynn says they're really firing Stefanski. Wonder what that was priced as first coach fire. Can someone confirm that? Well, there was a fake Stefanski fired tweet going around like 2 hours ago, and I clicked into the user, and it was someone that had like 2,000 followers. So that might be going around. I highly doubt it. I'm going to say I highly doubt that that's real right now. I mean, I don't know how much you can blame him for what's going on with the Cleveland Browns.
Miami, on the other hand.
Yeah, sure. So if we want to lump those together, like Cleveland is on to rookie quarterback, potentially one of the worst possible scheduling spots you could ever have today. And you know what? I'll give my kudos to the Pittsburgh Steelers offensively. The best game plan you could have. Just get the ball out of Rodgers' hands quickly. I saw a Myles Garrett post-game today where he's like, I believe he said that he could have been dressed naked and still not been able to get to the quarterback today. And he's right. Like, they just got the ball out really, really quickly, and that's all they needed to do. They played like a classic Steelers game, rely on the defense, we'll play field position, we'll get the yards after catch against the Browns. But, yeah, I don't – like.
Aaron Rodgers is averaging 5 air yards per throw. That's 1 less than the next, which is Kyler Murray, and then Mac Jones and Bryce Young are just at the high 6s. I mean, that's just been what the style of that offense has been. And that's fine. Aaron Rodgers can still do that. I mean, he doesn't do the incredibly dumb shit that some other quarterbacks would do in that scenario. So they can continue to do that and just continue to move the chains. They're going to be fine in that division.
Yeah, I had some Pittsburgh today, had the game on quite a bit. And, listen, Tua Rodgers is a good example. RJ says it in the chat. But, like, at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers finished with a .30 EPA per play. That's really strong. They did really well on their early passing downs, which set up very easy third downs for them all game, whereas the Browns are living in second and long, third and long. Like, their early downs are repeatedly putting Gabriel behind the sticks, and they just can't overcome that. So I don't know. I know it was like an ugly 23-9 win, Pittsburgh off the bye. I was somewhat impressed with the Steelers today. I just never thought they were in doubt of losing that game over the course of the entire day.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers, it's not the difference. I mean, many differences probably between him and Tua, but Aaron Rodgers can still throw the ball downfield if he has to. He's not going to do it the same way he did 5, 10 years ago, but at the same time, like that's in him to do that. Whereas Tua only has that one garbage gear.
Yeah. Well, you brought up the possibility of Mike McDaniel getting fired. That was an interesting game. Totally wrong on the under. And the market.
We both had that last.
Yeah, I think
Sunday.
we still ended up with an okay price, but there was game day money on the over there. And it felt pretty early to me like we weren't going to win that one. Like I was always going to be praying for some sort of under. I guess for the second week in a row, I've overrated a really terrible O-line against a team that really does not have the strongest of pass rushes or the ability to exploit that. And I feel like I did that a bit with Miami today. Chargers had a good plan again, early downs. They were passing to set up like manageable thirds. They basically just didn't want to get Herbert into situations where it was regularly 3rd and long and the pass rush could really get home for Miami. But I mean, Herbert behind that O-line, I know the defense is quite bad, but played really well. And historically speaking, I think the knock that people would have on Herbert is his inability to pull out a lot of these close games.
Yep.
And he was able to pull out a close game.
Yes, he was. And without much on his side helping him out in terms of, personnel. So, I mean, it was weird. Like, I wouldn't call it like it was one of the games that I had on. It wasn't a fun game to watch, but it was interesting, I guess, because the game didn't play out the way that I exactly thought it would either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he manages to make like a throw every week that I just don't think too many people are capable of. And there was one to Ladd McConkey at the end of the game on like this out route that I think probably 30 other quarterbacks in the league throw that pass and might have been picked and went the other way. He just has the ability to do that. But I don't know. There's not much more to say. I'll say this about the Dolphins. Like I saw Tua's post game. I saw how he said that, there's been a lot of players only meetings that some players haven't shown up to, and we don't have much in terms of leadership. And I get that. Like he's probably frustrated post loss. It does feel like they're still playing though. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't feel like they were in the game today and they trailed at one point by like 10 points. They battled back. Ultimately, the difference was just Tua's worse than Herbert, in my opinion. But seems like it doesn't seem like they've given up. Like I don't love that narrative for this team, even though they seem dejected. They've played a lot of games where they've been competitive. I don't know. The personnel's just not there for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at them as a team that quit. Like they seem to fight and they seem to grind. And I don't know, if people aren't showing up to players only meetings, shouldn't Tua be one of those leaders?
I would agree, especially with the amount of money he's getting paid. But
like quarterback tends to be a captain and one of those guys. Like if you're talking about players only meetings, now if you're saying guys aren't showing up to practice and they're not getting, they're getting slapped and fined and all that other shit, then yeah, that's on the head coach. But part of it's got to be on, your leaders inside the locker room.
Yeah, agreed. Two of the better games in the early window. One of them was Dallas and Carolina. I thought that was like a really enjoyable football game. I'm a Cowboys fan, so I didn't really necessarily love the ending.
The outcome?
Yeah, I had another one of those weeks where this week wasn't quite like last week. I had a lot of money against Dallas. This week was very little, but it was like a back and forth game. I'll say this with Carolina, the offense kind of answered every punch and came back. Like Rico Dowdle, the revenge game narrative. I mean, he played really well. Ultimately, I wasn't too impressed with Dallas's running game in this one. Felt they tried to lean on it. Carolina put a lot of emphasis on stopping the run. I think Carolina's actually had a great run. They have the number one rushing success rate in the league on defense right now. And that, to me, seemed like a little bit forced. But I think I have a clear idea of both of these teams right now, especially Dallas. I mean, I would throw away that like one great defensive performance against the Jets after what we saw from the Jets offense today. Thing with Dallas is they're going to have like a top 5 offense in terms of efficiency, and they're probably going to have the worst defense, if not a bottom 3 defense. And I think that's just going to continue all year long.
Yeah, I'm still pissed about the Cowboys and the Bears game. Really, you guys couldn't show up offensively. I know Lamb got hurt in the beginning of that game, but Pickens has been really good since Lamb's been hurt. That's his game, right? Like downfield, stretching, all that shit. Like, he's good. But, it was a good game for the Fighting Eagles.
Yep.
3-3.
Yep.
I didn't have anything. I was kind of leaning the Panthers, but I'm kind of upset that I didn't see the over.
I have a hypothesis that I haven't really looked into yet. I'm not super big on betting splits in the NFL because the samples are already so small that I don't like to shorten them even more. But I think there's really something about Bryce Young at home versus on the road. Mm-hmm. And
could be.
I bet if you look deep into this, he's got to be the quarterback, at least one of them with the biggest splits playing at home and on the road. And I feel so much more comfortable when they're in front of their home fans. Again, it helped today that they played a terrible defense. That's always going to help. But I don't have much faith in this offense to travel. And that goes back to them having Chuba, a better receiving core in the past as well than what they're rolling out this year because Jalen Coker's on IR for them. So that I kind of just feel like I have a good read on these teams as they stand right now. And, as someone who lost money betting against Dallas last week, but I don't know that there's much deviation in what these teams are going to be on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get an idea of who they both are, especially on the defensive sides of the ball too.
Yeah. Also today, Arizona and Indy. I thought that was a fantastic game.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, it was high success rates for both teams on offense, low mistake game, decided by ultimately who was better in the red zone, I think. And the Colts, they're still able to get the job done regularly on offense at the very least. Cornerback's a major issue for them today. I don't know what to make of Brissett going forwards if he plays again in this offense next week, and it seems like it's a true 50-50 as to whether Kyler can come back with the foot injury. But I do think that Brissett was kind of underrated coming off of New England, where he had no O-line, no wide receivers. It was really bad there. I do think he's going to be overrated after this game. And I think a lot of that has to do with preparation, where the Colts kind of didn't really know who they were going to play at quarterback for the majority of the week. I find that these are good spots for the quarterback coming in usually, and I wonder if we'll get that same throughput going forwards.
I think that happens a ton with backups in general. And I agree with what you were saying earlier today on Pizza Buffet. The more you get a little bit of tape of somebody in an offense, whether or not they adjust. Even look at Browning on the Bengals. He had a couple decent output games, played weak teams, but now look at him now that you've gotten a little bit more and a little bit more on him. There's some value to being an unknown. I think Brissett's fine. He's somebody that's just going to be able to run a typical offense. He's not going to do anything spectacular, but he's normally not going to lose you the game either.
Yep.
He's that middle, not a high ceiling, but not a really low floor.
I was impressed with him today. I wonder going forwards though, I think maybe diminishing returns.
Yeah, I think you can make the case too that there might have been a penalty in the end zone at the end of that game too.
I think you can make that case. I would make that case if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things that it's such a high leverage play. I don't want to over replay the league, but that was within one replay, very easy to spot that there was a hold in the end zone on that play. And there should be no reason that they just can't call that one down to get it right. The ones that are blatant, I'm not saying we need to be soccer now with VAR. Your fucking nostril is over, the line and it's a penalty. but I think blatant ones should be reviewed.
Yeah, I mean, you have that on the field help where you can go up to the booth and it's not even a challenge, right? Like that replay assist. Like
Yep.
I think there are times where if it's so blatant, it's so obvious, just do it.
Yep, totally. 3 games we haven't covered. I just want to give some quick thoughts on them. Rams-Baltimore was an ugly game, and honestly, it just came down to like a 4th and goal stop from the 1, where the game just swung at that point. Like, that was a huge expected point swing. I don't know what the fuck Baltimore is doing. They tried to run a tush-push with Mark Andrews. That didn't work. Then they handed off to Henry on the next play, and he lost like 2 yards on 4th down. They have no offense with Cooper Rush. I mean, anyone who wants to question how valuable Lamar Jackson is to a football team, I think you're seeing it right now. Yeah, okay, he can make he'll have some games, he'll take sacks, whatever. It's night and day. Like, Rush got benched for Snoop Huntley. That was just a brutal all-around game.
Yeah, that's like, do you want to die by drowning or do you want to die by fire? Like, I mean, pick your poison. Those 2 quarterbacks both are just absolute garbage. So, Ravens on the bye next week, yeah?
Ravens and yes, Ravens are one of 2 teams on the bye next week. I just looked it up before we came to air. If someone wants to give me a
yeah, I forget.
Chat, I want to say it was maybe the Bills. I'm almost certain it's Bills.
Yeah, I don't see them on the card for next week. That makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, Ravens, they get another week off. I think Lamar Jackson will probably be back the following week.
Yeah, I think Lamar will be back week 8. They'll likely get some defensive reinforcements. And I think they probably will start to wreck some teams again at some point. But, they're just right now a broken football team. And the Rams, very, very unimpressed at the Rams today, but they just didn't have to do much. Like, it was situational dominance from them. Other than that, offensively, not a great game. Similarly, in the late window, Tennessee, Las Vegas. Horrendous, man.
It was a game you could bet on.
It was a game you could bet on. Geno was working those underneath throws to Tucker and Myers, trying to get those manageable 3rd downs. Like Tennessee's a horrible football team. They have a fully healthy O-line now. It's really not changing anything. There's no reason the Raiders should be getting that much pressure on you in a football game. They have 1 legitimate pass rusher. And, I mean, if Tennessee's not covering games against the Raiders, it's ugly for that. You're losing by double digits to the Raiders. You got problems.
Yeah, and like George says, Cam Ward sold it.
Yep.
He's finally turned. He's finally come to the bright side.
I mean, he had the ball in his hands with a chance to backdoor the game. I'm like, here we go. He's going to do something to make George excited. No, he's not good right now. I mean, we got to see something. I mean, you look at the box score for the Raiders, and they like, it's not a game. They had 4 yards per play on offense, right? Like, they really should not win comfortably. They had 1 more yard in the entire game than Tennessee, but the Titans are just that bad right now. Coaching, everything about the team, it's just a broken football team.
Well, and that's when, I hear somebody say something as ridiculous as Jalen Hurts is the worst starting quarterback in the league. I mean, come on. Like, use your fucking brain. Like, are you serious? Come on. Now, how much grace do you give Cam Ward versus, like, Anthony Richardson? I think you have to give him a little bit of time. I think Cam's at least shown some little signs and plays like that they're in there somewhere. I don't know how you get his call processing power up to speed. And that could just come with more reps.
He's going to...
And their coach sucks, too.
Yeah, it's a disastrous situation for him. He's the first overall pick, though. They're going to ride him this season Obviously. And next, and that's it. It's just a mess. Seattle-Jacksonville was, I guess, expected to be a good game. It ended up being a low-scoring affair. I saw a lot of big hitters to JSN in that game. Seattle couldn't run the ball at all. That's been a staple of Jacksonville's defense this year, the ability to stop the run. But they leaned into some early down passing later on in the game. That seemed to help them. They got aggressive downfield. It wasn't fluid by any stretch of the imagination, but didn't have to be because the Jags offense was awful today. For facing a secondary, missing their top two corners, starting safety, they couldn't attack downfield at all. So that was a pretty ugly performance by Jacksonville. And gotta say, not surprising at all when that happens, because I don't know that offense has much cohesion at this point.
No, Brian Thomas needs to stop dropping balls.
Yeah.
Scott's got the hands of Matumbo. Like, you see a couple drops from him, it seems like every week. Like, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's true. But I don't know that that's going to change. We're now 6 weeks into the season, and we're slowly weaning off the priors. I think these.
Well,
yeah, some teams have played like really easy schedules. Some have played hard, so you got to account for that. But we're starting to really understand what these teams are. I think Jacksonville's they're just fine. They're just fine. They're just fine.
Fine.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. All right. Let's get into next week's games. I know that's what a lot of you come here for, not necessarily for the recap. Before we do, remember, we are very happy here at Forward Progress to be sponsored by Fanduel, and Fanduel is changing the way you live bet football. It starts with next drive SGPs. Now you can bet on what's happening on the next drive. Will it end in a touchdown, a punt, a field goal? We often place these types of bets on our Forward Progress live watch-alongs. You can also stack in player props like rushing yards, someone to find the end zone, or to catch a pass, which we do very often. You can build your bet exactly how you want it. FanDuel's enhanced quick betting experience makes it easy to find live bets fast, build SGPs in real time, and see the player stats you need. And every NFL game day also comes with a profit boost, so you can use that on your next drive SGP, and you can get more out of every play, whether you're betting a drive, a player, or the next big moment. FanDuel makes live betting smarter, faster, and way more fun. Visit FanDuel.com/forwardprogress, download the app today, and bet the next drive your way. Please play responsibly. You must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus present in D.C. 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, or 18 plus in Kentucky and Wyoming. Opt-in is required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050, 24/7 support in Massachusetts. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. And this is a paid endorsement. If you need to, in Ontario, call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 or visit connectsontario.ca. All right, let's get back into it here. Quick recap of last week, as we always do. So myself, lost on the Patriots over. Again, frustrating, but such is life. Also have a bad number on Chicago tomorrow. I don't know who steamed the Commanders. I've been trying to find out.
Where did that number come from?
Yeah, listen, somebody really likes Washington, and I disagree. But honestly, I thought 4.5 would really be the peak. I did. So I'm in a shit spot there. But such is life. Clive, Tennessee, Las Vegas under, easy winner for you. You are pending on the Chicago-Washington under for tomorrow night as well. And combined, what a great number we got on filling the Giants that had no hope. Chargers-Miami, also no hope. Just not a great week. And such is life. There's going to be ups and downs, but I felt like we did a decent job of handicapping. For the record, just so people know, you might not see numbers that we talked about last week in specific. We're trying only to grade if it's widely available. That's just kind of feels unfair for us to say, go bet this price because it's way off market over here and then grade that when not everybody would have had a chance. So we're just grading on what the widely available prices are.
Yeah.
Right? It's got to be the way it's got to be.
Yeah, and I think that's the right thing to do, right? Like, it's not like we want to just give out a rogue price. We try and give out the idea of where we think it's going to go. And if you can see this number, great. I think 3 or 4 books, then maybe that's fair. But if it's just one, that's not.
I know for a lot of people who watch, they watch for the picks, and that's totally fine. I know for a lot of people that watch, they watch for the process, which is what I prefer. Because, if I can teach you some things about the way that I think about games, I'm very happy to do so. But whatever you tune in for, we're just happy that you tune in. If you do enjoy the show, take 2 seconds, smash that like button down below. Let's start with Thursday Night Football. and not widely available as of yet. And I'll give some hypothesis as to why. But FanDuel has Pittsburgh minus 5.5 at Cincinnati. Total in the game 41.5. Juice towards the over. Just quickly looking at injuries suffered today. For Pittsburgh, they lost Darius Slay to a shoulder injury late in that game. So that's one to keep an eye on for. It's a short week. So typically when people leave on a short week, I'm very skeptical. The Bengals lost Mike Gesicki at tight end, but the most important one was Trey Hendrickson, left with a back injury. And I saw the look ahead on this game was 4.5, and now it's a little bit higher because of the results from today, but also the Trey Hendrickson situation. Hard for me to argue against that at this point, Clive. Like, I just don't see what the appetite is in market for the Bengals right now, even though, you know what, they did get steamed this week, so somebody is still willing to bet them.
Yeah. And from what I saw of that particular game, I mean, did they look good? Did they look sharp? No. I think, like I said, I think Green Bay left points on the board for sure. But I mean, if you said, hey, you could take 14 again, like I would take 14 with Cincinnati. I wouldn't want to lay it with Green Bay. I struggle with a guy like Flacco in a new system, and like everything in me wants to say under, but I don't know that I believe it. I think this number is just fine.
I actually lean to the over at this number slightly. I don't know that I can get there, but like, I just think about it from a matchup perspective. If Trey Hendrickson does not play for Cincinnati, I mean, they probably would be the worst pressure rate team in the entire league without him. I just don't see this as being a formidable defense at all, even at home. I'm a little bit challenged, though, by the other side of the ball, where I can give Joe Flacco a break. I think he came in under like horrible circumstances, short week, great defense on the other side. And honestly, he looked serviceable, but I do have the belief that Pittsburgh's defense, with Joey Porter back, with Alex Highsmith back, probably the numbers aren't doing them justice just yet.
Yeah. So what would that breakdown be? 24-18 roughly as kind of the expected numbers?
Yep.
I don't know. That just, to me, that just feels right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to do here immediately. I do think that this is going to be, not that I think this way. I actually hate the pros versus Joes mentality. I just can't imagine any average casual NFL bettor having any interest in betting the Bengals at these prices. But the way that these teams have kind of been priced for a while now, it does feel like 6 might be a little bit too high.
I agree with that.
Right? Like, I think the pro side is going to be the Bengals. So maybe 6 is a buy point, although I don't have a lot of conviction on this game, if I'm being completely frank.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to look into it a little bit more deeply. I don't know that this goes to 6.5. I think more likely than not it goes to 5.5 or 5. Then I think it goes to 6.5. But that's just my initial reaction.
Yeah. I tend to agree. We got our 9:30 a.m. game Eastern time. I don't want to pretend that I know if it's in London again or not. I just assume it is. Chat, let me know. Hit me up. Jags and Rams, where they're playing at. But I know it's neutral site. And opener here at FanDuel is Rams -3, -105. Total in the game, 46.5. It's back in London at Wembley, says Jamil and Mike Durso as well.
What was the final injury thing for the Rams? Like, where did we end up?
Yep, I should do that for every single game. So the Rams, Puka Nacua left.
Yeah.
It looked like it was a bad foot injury, but then he came back to the sidelines. Doesn't seem bad. My gut is that Puka Nacua will play next week. I'm not too worried about Blake Corum missing their backup running back. I'm looking at the rest of the team. Like Rob Havenstein's the other guy to watch out for, their right tackle, but he didn't practice this week at all. He was 3 times DNP, so I'm wondering about him. Jacksonville, Brenton Strange, we know, is on IR. They didn't have any new injuries today, though. They might get their center. Robert Hainsey back next week, and he's a pretty decent offensive lineman. So, okay, sidewise, I feel okay with this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of feels fine.
I feel like 46.5 is too high as a total.
I think so too, but
I always wonder about
the travel and like the situation. Yeah, it's
like funky game. You know, it's like a funky game. But you have the upside of Nakua not playing, potentially. There's got to be some built-in price here, probability that he doesn't play. Something like 20%.
Yeah, because I think it would be a little bit closer to 3 minus 115 or 3 minus 120 if there was a certainty that Puka was playing. That's kind of what I think. But, maybe I'm a little off there. Maybe that's just me being a little down on Jacksonville and up on the Rams, but not much. So is this the best 3 in market?
There's a -3 plus 101 I see right now. But I just like to keep it's an exercise I do every week. I think I talked about this last week, but I like to store like market power rankings every week. And then just kind of go and look at them over the show as like a lens of how have these teams been rated over the course of the year. So if I put Rams and Jags on a neutral field with the power rating that they had in each individual week so far this season, there's never a week where the Rams are less than a 3.5 point favorite on a neutral. They were as high as a 5 point favorite in week 4. And that has me interested in maybe some quiet support for the Rams here. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Personally, I just like the under at this price because these are 2 really good run defenses. And I think both of these offenses are predicated on needing to be able to run the ball. Like you look at the Jags success rate on rush D, 34.5%, the Rams 35%. We saw today what the Jags offense looks like when they can't run it effectively. And I've always not liked the Rams offense if they can't get Kyren Williams going either.
Yeah, it's true. I think my interest in this game is probably going to be in the Rams or nothing. But let's see. Yeah, I don't feel strongly about anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I like the under in this game. We're gonna go ahead and track the under for me. There's mostly you can get some 40. There's 46s and 46.5s out all over the place out there. I usually don't like to lock stuff up before 47. But where a lot of the sharp books are shaded right now, I think the 46.5 is valuable. Quick response to Giovanni in the chat here. He said, Rob, just bet the look-aheads if you don't want to use this week's information. I respect the hell out of you, but I hate that exercise. So I don't like the transitive property for betting. All I'm saying is that there's nothing that if these teams were put on neutral for the entire year, where one team was consistently a 3.5 point favorite, and then you add in the data point of this week, where the Jags lost a pick'em game comfortably, there's no reason that they would get upgraded. Maybe the Rams get downgraded, but
right.
Like, there's spots right now that are not on 3, and I might be interested in the Rams at those prices.
I just left at market.
You know what? I'm going to do a video on the transitive property at some point and why I don't like it for sports betting.
I don't either. Matchups matter. There's a lot to it. So
yeah, I don't like there's a lot that goes into it. But
yes.
Okay. Let's keep it moving along here, and we are going to go to the Raiders and Chiefs, and this one just opened up at Fanduel here. We have Kansas City minus 10.5 flat total in the game, 45.5 juiced towards the over. Of note, Kansas City is likely going to get Rashee Rice back. They are going to get Rashee Rice back next week. His suspension is over. They are likely going to get their left tackle, Josh Simmons, back, who was a late scratch today for personal reasons. Chris Jones left the game late for them tonight as well on defense. On the Raiders side, I would not expect Brock Bowers to play. They do have a bye week following next week, and I don't know that they'll rush him back. And then, of course, Colton Miller is still out. Chiefs are a wagon. I have very, very little interest in the Raiders at this point. I'm just trying to ask myself if I'm interested in the over here, Clive.
So do you think that Chiefs, when they get out of lead, they're not the team that kind of continues to keep it open and kind of blow doors off? Like, that's the only thing that kind of, my first thought was the over as well. It's, do they get out to a quick lead and try and just kind of run it down their throat? And that's a game state issue. And I don't like the Raiders coming back from anything.
That's a really good point. A very good point, I would say. Is that if you do get the situation where the Chiefs build up margin, they will be content to run the ball and play everything underneath. I don't like the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders' offense is an atrocity.
So bad.
Yeah, 4 yards per play against Tennessee today.
And with no Bowers, God, I mean, I think it just gets even. There's nothing to look forward to. Like, this is a Raiders team total under for me probably at some point this week.
I do think that there is a path to success for the Raiders, especially if this Chris Jones injury is real and he's in danger of not suiting up. The Chiefs have really struggled to stop the run this year. I don't know. I guess I lean a little bit to the over, but your point has certainly given me some cause for concern here about Chiefs' front runners, which I don't think is good. It's very slow, very slow.
Yeah. And I've no, unless there's some sort of, flukish kind of turnover early, a return, something along those lines, I can just see the Raiders and it getting ugly. Maybe a first half over is something that might make sense, like throughout the course of this week for people to take a look at.
Yep, I could see that being a case. Okay, keep it going here. And we got now listen, we can bet on all these games. Just a reminder. It's the beauty of sports betting. Cleveland Browns hosting the Miami Dolphins. Cleveland -2.5, -110. Total is 40.5 in this game. Quick injuries to note. Miami, I think nothing new today. They have the possibility of getting Tyrell Dodson back on defense. He missed this week with a concussion. Maybe Storm Duck at corner as well. I think those are possibilities for them. Cleveland had a pretty rough day of it. David Njoku left the game. He got hurt. Their left tackle, Cam Robinson, he had a leg injury. He limped off for a bit. Jack Conklin got hurt again. I think he got concussed today. So that's now potentially both tackles next week. Their swing tackle, DeJuan Jones, is on IR. They lost a defensive lineman, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, as well. So Cleveland got pretty beat up today.
This feels too high. Like,
It does. Really.
I don't want to bet on the Dolphins right now, but that is where I would go. When I'm thinking about like a good situation for Gabriel to do something positive, this would be it. But I think this is probably a full point too high. Maybe 3/4 of a point. Like, maybe this should be somewhere between 1.5 and 1 3/4.
I tend to agree. That wouldn't make Miami like an immediate grab for me right now. I'd be more likely. I mean, look, as it's had this in real time, the Browns money line just got bet, and the under in this game just got bet. Cottage says, why aren't we pressing the Dolphins right now, Rob? There's many reasons. So I got so many. Here's what happens when you have two bad teams, and you're handicapping this like I am right now, which is like more traditional handicapping without running a modeled number. I got so many things firing in my head about this game, which is Cleveland's defense being much better at home than on the road. It's Cleveland completely unable to run the ball today, making it pretty much impossible for them to move the ball against Pittsburgh, where Miami has one of the worst run defenses in the league. So potentially that. Then you have Tua against a good defense with a good pass rush. And I echo everything Clive said, where I look at the number and I'm like, yeah, it's got to be Dolphins or nothing. But there's so many reasons that I just wouldn't want to click Miami right now.
Yeah, I kind of a wait and see. I did think maybe the total would drop a little bit. It did, but
I don't think I think Miami, as they stand right now, got a profile as one of the biggest over teams in the league. Even though they were actually able to generate a couple explosives today, by the way. Tua did throw downfield for the first time in forever, but the defense is really bad. And the offense, Tua's going to make mistakes. He's going to throw picks. He has bad, but like some of that chaos actually works in your favor sometimes. And they're running a lot of screens, trying to get yardage. I see Miami as like a big time over profile, whereas Cleveland is the exact opposite. And you put those, when that comes together, I never know what to do with those games as I look at them, just like the raw number on.
yeah, and that's where it gets super hard unless you have a really good feeling about a certain part of the matchup that's going to go in a certain direction. Unless you're really confident of that and the way those two things go together, it becomes really difficult. I struggle with that too. Like when we do these shows of like really, really bad, like a team like Cleveland, bad O, great D. Like, how do you come up with over under unless you have some good instincts?
Well, this is why I've worked for years to actually model the games, Clive, because I don't
Yeah,
have the brain power to execute on all these variables in real time, and this one especially just makes my head spin. But I would agree. I think like I don't know. It just seems in these types of games, it almost, this sounds really dumb. I get it. You can rip on me for it in the comments, whatever. But it almost just feels like you. I don't want to say you can't go wrong playing the dog, but you know what I'm getting at, where it's just like it's two really bad teams. There's not much separating them. You're getting 2.5 with one. Sign me up type of situation. But I certainly don't need to bet it immediately. I'll tell you that.
I would say this: if you like the under, there's some 41.5s out there. I think you're better off betting it now than not. That's what I would just say.
Yep. New England at Tennessee is our next game on the board. Fanduel has a New England -6.5, -118, total 41.5, juice to the over. So again, this will be, this will shape up as another, I think, potentially pros versus Joe's game. The market has not been shy about betting Tennessee, even though they're bad. And I mean, there's a lesson in that from a betting perspective. There's always going to be a price where you're willing to take either team in a game. And a lot of people have been taking the Titans in recent weeks. I wonder if this is the point where it stops. I don't know. New England is starting to look better. Their profile this year, pretty solid, especially offensively. I just, like, we're not really used to seeing the Patriots in these types of price ranges, Clive. Like, you don't see the Patriots going out on the road favored by a touchdown too often.
No, and I think I upgrade them a little bit off of this week, off of whatever number I had. I mean, Drake May has been really, really good. The Titans are obviously the worst. I don't want to say obviously. Maybe somebody doesn't think they are. I think they're the worst team on the board. And maybe the Saints aren't as bad as I thought they were either. So kind of put that together. I think this is a fine number. I kind of want to bet the over here, but I need to think about it a little bit.
So my issue is that, so I'm in the same boat as you. I also view New England as a pretty good profile for an over team, generally, especially now that they're pushing the ball downfield and they've shown that they can create some explosive passes, because that wasn't in the repertoire earlier. But the Tennessee offense is just too bad. Like what this score is roughly a 24-17 type of score.
Yep. Yeah.
So you're either going to pay like some pretty heavy juice on a New England team total over 23.5, or maybe an over 24.5, -105 +100. That would be, say what again is just bringing this up in the chat. I like New England team total over. Don't want to rely on Tennessee to do their part. I would be more likely to play it like that than the game over.
Yeah, I can totally see that. If you force me on a side, I would take New England at that number. Is that the best New England price in market?
Yeah,
version of sevens.
there's lots of sevens. Most of the board is 7 now.
Yeah.
That I can't. The best I see is -115. There's 6.5 -115. So FanDuel's pretty close to having the best price there. But yeah, like the Tennessee offense, it's not just that it's bad, like it's really bad. That's the real problem. They have a 36% success rate on offense. Like that is. What's the schedule? What's the schedule look like for them this year if we were to go game by game against teams?
Denver.
Okay, Denver, Rams. You cut them some slack.
Indy,
You know what?
Houston. Yeah, they've had a tough schedule. That's exactly. I went there right before you were thinking through it. And
But
New
you know
England
what?
is not that.
That would have been the exact reason that someone would have wanted to bet Tennessee today.
Yes.
You know, they would have looked at the schedule and said, these guys have only played good teams. This is the Raiders defense. And then they put up 3.8 yards per play against the Raiders defense. And you're like, where do we draw the line now?
Well, I'm not, and this isn't trying to put air in our own tires here, but I was shocked that this number on the total didn't go down throughout the course of the week. And we really didn't get a lot of CLV on this one on the under. And that surprised me. So it's like, what in the market is making people rate Tennessee's offense a little bit better than it's been performing? And I don't know the answer to that.
There's certain things for me that when I'm betting that would cause me to take pause and start to think. And usually I know which accounts I have where I click and I bet into something where it's going to move the market.
Sure.
And I clicked this under at one point this week and it didn't move at all. And I was like, ooh, someone else that they respect a little bit more than me is disagreeing. So yeah. Just of note, I did see someone pointed out in the chat, and I'm an idiot, I completely forgot, but Calvin Ridley's pretty much at risk of missing this game as well. He left with a hamstring injury. For wide receivers, that's usually multi-week. They lost Obuafemi Oladeo, one of their edge rushers, with a calf injury. Pretty underrated player, if you ask me. And they're already very thin on the D-line with Tavondre Sweat, Arden Key out. So those are of interest. Harold Landry for New England left, but I believe he came back into the game. So I got to say, I mean, I think across market tomorrow morning, we probably wake up to 7s, if I had to guess. You just have one team coming off a really impressive performance. One team looked very weak. Injuries are favoring New England in the game. That's where I imagine we'll wake up tomorrow morning.
And like is mentioned in the chat, look at team totals for New England this week. I think that's the right way to go.
Yep. Okay, keep it moving here. We won't spend too much time here because the Bears are playing Monday Night Football tomorrow night, but the Bears do host the Saints next week. Chicago laying -5.5, -115. Total in the game, 45.5, juiced towards the over. I immediately have, I think, an opinion on the side and the total here.
I have more an opinion on the side that I think this is a little too heavy on the Bears.
Like, so do I. So that's my stronger opinion is if I can, I mean, this is where we really, really hope for a Bears win tomorrow night, right? And they look good and you can just grab that 6 with the Saints. Saints are feisty. Offense is decent enough. Defense is not good by any means, but the Bears defense leaves a lot to be desired as well, even with some players back. I think
that's
I
what you have to hope for. Yeah, you need those people coming back to show something really, really significant tomorrow to make me be okay with this number. So as of right now, I would not be okay with this if you told me I had to take the Bears.
Now that we're getting into mid-October as well, Chicago's an outdoor venue. I would kind of hold off on playing totals early in the week in some of these venues once we get into October. It's not too bad just yet. At least in Toronto, the weather's still been really nice, so I imagine similar in the Northeast U.S., Chicago as well. But let's hold off on this. Wow, I mean, I guess we might not even have the opportunity. Someone's just clicking the 5.5 immediately, Clive.
Yeah,
immediately. Okay.
Other 5.5s are out there if you want it.
No, there's tons. And like there'll be a reopen on this game anyways tomorrow.
Sure.
Like I don't think it could, even if Chicago gets blown out, like I don't think it's gonna reopen like 3.5 or something like that. I don't see that personally.
True.
That's just my prerogative there. Eagles traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Early line at Fanduel, Philadelphia -2.5, -118. Total in the game, 42.5, juice towards the under. Minnesota is coming off of a bye week. And if you recall, prior to the bye week, they had a lot of injuries. One was to their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, with an ankle injury. I currently do not have an update as to whether or not it will be him or Carson Wentz. They also had significant injuries on the offensive line. Donovan Jackson had a wrist injury at left guard. That was like a multi-week thing. I honestly don't know who's potentially back this week. Brian O'Neill had a knee injury at right tackle. The center that was filling in for Ryan Kelly, who's on IR, Michael Jurgens, had a hamstring injury. Andrew Van Ginkel was out. I think he'll likely be back. So I think there's a lot of upside for Minnesota coming out of the bye week. Philly also had a couple key injuries on Thursday Night Football. Landon Dickerson on the O-line and Jalen Carter were both out. And then on top of that, Quinyon Mitchell got hurt. He left the game with a hamstring injury, and that one looks serious. I don't like the Eagles at all, man, at all.
So the question I was going to ask you is, like, in your pecking order now of, off the top of your head power rankings, the Eagles were probably number one a couple weeks back. Now that we're getting more and more information on them, they've probably come down 1.5, 2 points, like in market, to be third, fourth, fifth, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Is this a buy low spot? The injuries is what kind of.
It's hard. It's too hard for me to parse this game this early in the week. The reality is, if Quinyon Mitchell didn't get hurt, I know he did get hurt, but if he didn't get hurt this last week, I would click this under as fast as humanly possible here.
So your mind is where mine's at. Okay, keep going.
Because I think that these are two of the best 5 defenses in football, and the Eagles
offenses that are sputtering too, both of them.
Bingo. Now they do have Minnesota, they can make it work. That they figure out ways to make that offense work. It's good scheming, good play calling, but the Eagles defense is, when they have missed Jalen Carter on the field this year, they have not been very good. It kind of skews their perception as a defense as a whole. He was a late scratch for them last week against the Giants. His presence means a lot to that defense, in my opinion. Minnesota's going to be close to full health defensively now after suffering through all those injuries. You got 2 very good defensive coordinators. I strongly lean under, but the Eagles have such an exploitable matchup on the outside with whoever fills in for Quinyon Mitchell, and that's what scares me. But I still think that, if anything, this market's going to go towards the under.
Yeah, I think so too. The Mitchell injury is a big one. I think at that number I would have instantly clicked under. And I think that's the market there's I think 143 out there.
Yeah.
I'm down on Philly, like, at this point too, in terms of their offense too coming around. Like, I don't necessarily have a lot of faith in terms of their play calling and how they're executing and everything. I just don't feel good about it.
If Philly's going to fix their offense, I think they're going to fix it on a bye week. That's typically when we see teams make adjustments to the offense. And that's why I'm actually quite interested to see what Houston looks like this week. But this can only, for me, at the moment, be Minnesota and under if I was going to. But I think there's just not enough clarity on who will be in for Minnesota. Like, I would, if I clicked Minnesota and then found out they're down like 3-0 linemen again this week, even coming out of the bye, and I have not been able to get any updates on those guys, I would not want that bet at all. Not want that.
Reasonable.
Okay. Next game on the board is the Carolina Panthers traveling to take on the New York Jets. New York Jets returning home from London. Total in the game is number in the game is Jets minus 1.5, minus 104 at home. Very small favorites on the money line at minus 112. Total in the game is 43.5. Carolina
have to make a trip to MetLife.
Yeah, you're not far.
No.
I think that would be a pretty fun trip.
Yeah, not too bad. Man, holy hell. Last year, Panthers Jets 43.5. Like, that's an insta under click, I think, for me. And now it's just like I don't really know what to do.
We've got some comments in the chat about Road Bryce. Under's been getting steamed in Panthers Jets for good reason, says Jameel. So I agree. Let me quickly just go through injuries here for this one. So Carolina probably doesn't get Chuba Hubbard back next week. He did not practice this week. I don't know about that. They've activated Jalen Coker into his practice window. He might play next week. So they're pretty beat up on the O-line. Taylor Moton, their right tackle, missed this week. He also didn't practice, so I imagine he might be down. The big one today was Garrett Wilson got hurt for the Jets. And,
yeah,
I mean, chat, I'll be very impressed if you could name the next three receivers on the depth chart for the Jets without Garrett Wilson, and considering Allen Lazard hasn't been playing as well. If you can, kudos to you. You know ball. But there's not going to be many people who can do that. And Giovanni's the first one who said Lazard. Lazard was scratched today, yeah. I think there's
moved down a click.
Yeah, I think the 44s that are out there are decent at this point.
There's a really good number or two out there if you like the under.
Yeah. I think that's a good click early on here.
Yeah, I do too.
I would be mildly concerned that Tyrod starts next week. That would be mildly concerning, but I mean, this receiving core, I'll fill you in on the answer, guys. Josh Reynolds, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, Brandon Smith, Isaiah Williams is the remainder of that receiving core. Not many household names. Carolina's defense is better than they're getting credit for. They've been better this year. They've been healthier than they were a year ago. They can stop the run. That's
where this helps in this particular matchup because of what the Jets want to do.
Bingo. And conversely, the Jets can also stop the run. These are two of the better run-stopping teams in the league. And when you put it on Bryce and whoever it is, Fields or Tyrod, to convert third and longs, I don't like that. Under.
I want to see
good.
The early down success rate. Holy shit. Wow. 25% success rate today for the Jets. Early downs first and second. They ran the ball 25 out of 40 plays, and they had 28% success rate on early downs. That is not a good situation.
Yeah. Thoughts on the side. So Carolina's better than the Jets. The NFC has been dominating the AFC this year. I just have a feeling that the NFC might be a little bit stronger than people expected going into the season. With that said, I'm not super keen on this. Like, honestly, it's fine. Going into this week, I would have said I'd probably make the Jets bigger favorites than this, but you got another additional data point of the Jets offense being an absolute disaster and Carolina looking competent again. So it has to shift to where it's shifted now, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes sense. I don't want to take the Jets giving anything to anybody, but this number feels about right.
Yeah. No one's going to want to bet the Jets this week. I'm not saying that, by the way, just for those who are new here and you've never watched a show before, I'm not saying that means that's a reason to take them or that they're going to cover or anything like that. If you ever want, there's a video on the Circles Off YouTube channel about public betting splits. It says, stop using these is the thumbnail. You can watch that for the reasons that I'm not totally into using those public splits. But there's something I told you about this earlier about Carolina, home road, Bryce. I don't know what it is or if it's real, but it's something that I think about. And
Yeah, I just did a quick weather check. It doesn't look like there's anything bad coming. Like this weekend's terrible in Jersey. A lot of rain, a lot of wind, but the weather, I know it's early, but the weather looks like it's going to be fine too.
yeah. Okay, next up is a nice AFC matchup with the Chargers hosting the Colts. Chargers very small favorites here, minus 112 on the money line. Total in the game is 48.5. Of note on the injury front, Indy is in pretty dire straits in the secondary. Charvarius Ward got concussed before the game today in warm-up, ran into another player. So they were missing Ward, Kenny Moore, Mike Hilton, Jalen Jones. Not arguably, 4 of their best 5 corners did not play today against Arizona. Meanwhile, I'm running out of space to put Chargers injuries on my sheets at this point. Quentin Johnston, 3 times limited practice this week. I'm going to assume he's back next week. I know it's a hammy, but it's probably one that's not multi-week if he practiced 3 times, so I would assume he's back. Offensive line-wise, I have no clue. Still seems like it's too early for Joe Alt. I doubt Trey Pipkins plays, who's their swing tackle. The O-line is a mess, and this does not seem like a particularly good matchup for them. They might get Denzel Perryman back on defense, though, which would be big. I like Perryman when he's in there. He's very communicative on the field, a good tackler. So that could be something to watch out for this week, Clive.
Kind of like the over here, and I kind of like the Chargers a little bit. For the side, I'd like a little bit. I mean, for both. Obviously, if I could have more information on injuries and whatnot through the course of the week, but my early instincts like the total over and the Chargers, but not anything that I would click today. Just I have interest.
I'm kind of fine here. I don't have again. It's hard for me to wrap my head around what the Colts are now.
Yeah.
Right? Because this would be like, it feels like a bargain on the Chargers, but then I just always look into the Colts numbers and I'm like, no, like the Colts are way better than I give them credit for all the time. Like, how many times do I need to see them do this on offense before I just admit that this is very, very real? Quick
Well, that's how I'm feeling, though. I'm feeling that way about offense, right? But I don't know if I am sold on them defensively. And I think with their injuries in the corners, like, I think Herbert can exploit that even with a weak offensive line. Like, I don't know.
That's the challenge we have here. Is I think that the Colts D-line could blast this Chargers line.
Yeah.
But they might, like, when you're that depleted and trying to cover McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Keenan Allen, that's a tough feat as well. It's a tough.
That's kind of where I'm at, and I could see another game like you had in terms of Chargers Miami today and Indy Arizona. I could see a high scoring affair.
Yeah. My gut reaction to this was that there's nothing that stands out of like we need to bet it right away.
No,
I mean
that's not what I'm saying.
If the Colts open favored, I would probably bet the Chargers right away. That the Chargers now, you know, if I wake up tomorrow morning and the number's at 2.5, like they're not going to close 3 in this game. It kind of has to be the number that's here, unless we get some really weird injury stuff as the week goes on, and that's what it feels like.
It's true. Yeah.
Chat loves the over, though, in this game. Chat's all over the over. E-Colt started that. Brown Starfish loves any over 48. Okay.
What's your units, Brown Starfish?
I mean, just hope he's having a better year than his competitors in market. Next game on the board is Giants and Denver. Denver, a 7-point favorite, flat at home. Basically, trying to see which way this number is going to go, I guess, do the books, unless this opened higher, which is very possible as well. I didn't see the openers. Total in the game, 40.5. Juice towards the under at minus 115.
7.5, 120 at FanDuel for the Giants at one point. So
yeah,
it moved a little.
So the 7.5s were grabbed pretty early. What do you make of the Giants? Out of curiosity, like, do you think that game was a one-off fluke, or is this?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm kind of in that boat as well.
I do. I initially look at this and kind of want to click under.
Okay. I don't have a strong feeling on it one way or another. I understand the handicap towards under. This got to be a good spot for the Giants. They're on extra rest. Denver's coming back from overseas as well.
Yeah. But there's lots of 40.5s out there. Some 41s. No, not 41. Not. I'm thinking. What do you think on the side? Do you just think this is the right number? Like, how much do you like the Broncos to win by margin?
I like everything about the Broncos except for
their quarterback. Yeah.
Right. Like, I think about how this game plays out. Let's take a quick look. Broncos defense, 38% rush success rate allowed. Let me just quickly look at their schedule of competition this year. They've played some good offenses in the Chargers. I guess the last 3 weeks they've maybe have been propped up a little bit by Bengals with Browning, Eagles, and Jets. So, okay, maybe there's some opportunity for the Giants to move the ball here. I
don't think you're going to have success running the ball, though, against Denver. And I think they want to do that a little bit. And if this gets into a negative game state, how do you really feel about the Giants moving the ball downfield?
Yeah. The big one for me, so say what again in the chat says, Denver's O-line got worked by the New York Jets today. New York Giants pass rush will cause big problems. I didn't really, I had the game on, but I wasn't watching it closely enough to see that happening. And Denver's O-line has been really good this year. Like, it's been the strength of their team is keeping Bo Nix upright. I think the market's going to have interest in the Giants here, personally, spot-wise, and Denver gets faded pretty religiously. If I'm thinking about all the recent Broncos games,
yeah,
the Jets drew money against them today. Eagles drew money after the number got down to 3.5, which was like all, let's say, softer money. Got bet back up to 4 in that game. Market's kind of off of Denver. I see like a couple 6.5s out there. It's not really enough for me to fill a bet. But I think I might like Denver minus 6.5 here.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I just don't think there's a rush.
I'm going to check Denver weather, but I would click Denver, I think, under 40.5. For the game, under 40.5.
Yeah. Brian D says Giants with Dart have been pretty decent. So I watched the full Saints game. They moved it pretty well. There was some self-inflicted wounds. They turned it over too much. I mean, they just don't have weapons really right now. When your running back is your best weapon, I don't know how I feel about that overall. Denver continues to remain pretty healthy. No key injuries today. Jermaine Johnson was back for the Jets, and I could see that him played a good game.
And you got another week of film on Dart.
Yeah. Total, anything you want to do? Lock in here, or are we good to go?
Yeah, I would lock in the under 40.5.
Okay. Clive likes under 40.5 in this. I understand the rationale on all that. That is just going to be a painful watch. NFC East, Cowboys hosting the Commanders. We can't spend too much time here. Commanders play on Monday Night Football. Commanders are laying 2.5 on the road right now. Total is 53.5. Why? Oh, why? I mean, I guess I know why.
Biggest number we've seen all year, isn't it? Like that at an opener? What did
I
KC
gotta,
close at? 51.5?
yeah, I gotta say it. I don't. I think from pure openers, this is the biggest one we've seen on the show.
I think so. Holy shit.
Damn. I mean, I guess it was pretty reckless of me to think that I was gonna get a number lower than this, but it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I think I don't. Before tomorrow night's game, I don't see anything to do here.
No, and we'll hope that I was right, on the under for tomorrow's game.
Yep.
That's kind of hung around the same number, 50.5, 49.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the problem with these totals is, as you saw with Chiefs and Lions today, you kind of just need everything to go right. Like you can't have like a 10-minute. The Cowboys could easily run the ball on a 10-minute drive and settle for a field goal. Like that's something that's, or fourth down doesn't. Washington goes for it on all these fourth downs, right? How many times do they drive the field and then not come in here? Garrett says pricing in CD returning. He's about a 50-50. I think he's a true 50-50 to return next week at this point. He's been
High ankles normally about 3 to 4 weeks, right? Like,
I'm just the only reason. Normally, I would have said higher than that to be back in the fourth week, but he didn't. He was 3 times DNP this week. Sometimes these teams would like to. They throw him out for a limited practice on the Friday before the week they're going to return. So that's what makes me a little bit skeptical for this one. But Washington is pretty beat up as well.
Yeah.
McLaurin, Brown, maybe Debo. Tough one to bet early here. We'll move it along to the Packers and Cardinals. Is this real? Okay, Packers -6.5, -118 on the road. Totals 43.5. Juice towards the over. Here's the reason I asked why.
Some shit. Yeah.
Because I was watching the afternoon window today, and I looked at the look ahead in this game, and it was pretty much 5.5 everywhere. Green Bay 5.5. I didn't think Green Bay looked all that impressive today. Or, I mean, box score wise, I guess maybe it's a little bit misleading. I thought Arizona looked good. I was hoping I could come on tonight and be able to click like Packers -4.5 or something like that. I don't know why it's been adjusted in this direction. Doesn't really make a lot of sense to me off of today's performances.
Yeah, I mean, it was still like a really high EPA per play, and like you do factor in all the box score stuff. Maybe it was some fluky. I mean, the love turnover was bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did the market readjust to Brissett really not being that much worse than Kyler? I think that's where it is.
That's what I was going to say. So, like, I guess the look aheads I'm looking at, I don't know if they were bet into over the course of the week and moved off of the Kyler news, because it could have just been a Kyler number, and now it's been adjusted up as a Brissett number. I think Green Bay will give Arizona's offense some major problems. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. Got concussed today, left the game. Michael Wilson also left, their number 2 receiver. I think he might have broke his pinky finger. I think they had to tape his 2 fingers together. They have serious injuries on the D-line as they've had all year. Green Bay, unfortunately, had some issues of their own. Dontavian Wicks left. Lucas Van Ness got carted off with a foot injury. Javon Bullard, who plays some slot corner and some safety for them, left with a concussion. So it was pretty ugly there all around. Damn, I wanted some Green Bay. I'll tell you this, Clive. I think if Kyler gets ruled in at some point this week and the market shifts pretty heavily towards the Cardinals, I'd be pretty interested in coming back on Green Bay at that point.
I would too, absolutely. So it looked like 5.5 is what it opened at in some spots. One place opened it at 7.5. So it's moved a lot today since the games.
Right.
Like depending on where you were looking.
Okay. Good to know. Yeah, I don't know. Green Bay to me, I watch. Something's missing, but the box score numbers still look really good. I think they've definitely benefited last couple weeks. Obviously, Dallas before the bye. That's a nice defense to go up against. They've played Washington. I mean, they've had some easy scheduling spots so far this year.
Detroit, Washington at home, and then Cleveland and Dallas on the road. And then
Like, I just basically want to fade the Arizona offense in some way right now, is what it comes down to. I'm not a believer that Brissett will be able to repeat that performance, especially down multiple skill position players. And I'm definitely not believing that Kyler can have a performance coming off a foot injury, considering how reliant he is on his legs as well.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. Next up is this, Sunday Night Football next week. 49ers hosting the Falcons. Falcons playing on one of the Monday Nighters tomorrow. Right now, market San Fran -3, -115, 45.5. Juice towards the over. Fred Warner is done for the year. The San Fran, I don't know. Those guys have to like collectively take a group bath in some tomato juice and vinegar and holy water or something, because they are dropping like flies. George Kittle will likely be back next week. We don't know about Brock Purdy. I don't know that he would necessarily be rushed back, because Mac Jones definitely looks more than serviceable right now. We don't know what anything to do with San Fran, really. Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Watkins. It's defensively, issues on the D-line. I just don't know how you do anything early with this at this point, Clive.
No, unless you really just absolutely love Atlanta. I mean, the 49ers need to pull the Ted Lasso thing where you take like a prized possession and you throw it in a dumpster that's on fire so that you kind of clear all the bad omens out, because these injuries are ridiculous.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm maybe a little bit higher in Atlanta than the market, although
I think I may be as well. I bet them this week pretty heavily against the Bills.
yeah. So part of that was pro Atlanta and negative Buffalo in terms of, their offensive game planning and how they're doing things. But this number feels fine. I think I might want Atlanta though throughout the course of the week.
I think, I don't see the upside in betting Atlanta early here, because you have Monday Night Football, and law of averages says they're probably going to have one or two injuries on Monday Night Football. That can only really work against you, I think, at this point. It does have the makings, like the matchup feels like an over to me. I do worry about both teams really trying to run the ball a lot throughout this game and seeing that as a potential game state. But San Fran, as long as they're still pushing the ball downfield with Mac, no matter who the receivers are, and as long as that defensive line is out there, like completely unable to get pressure at this point, now without their leader on defense, I think the only thing I would be able to get to here is an over.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, 2 Monday Nighters next week. These ones are not overlapping. They're staggered. So we have a 7 p.m. time and a 10 p.m. time. 7 p.m. Wow, this'll be a beauty. Lions hosting the Bucks. Lions -5.5, -05, and we got another 53.5 total. Clive, this one juiced towards the under.
What did this open at?
I don't know.
5.5. Holy shit!
This is the true opener, 5.5.
At FanDuel, yeah. I mean, 5.5 minus. It was 102 earlier in the week. It opened tonight at 110, and it's gone down to Detroit -105. Bounce back and forth.
So lots of
so many injuries. Didn't Tampa lose another right guard? Like
they did. Luke Haggard left. So Tampa lost to Mecca Ibuka.
Yes.
Mike Evans will now he's been out 3 weeks. So there's a chance Mike Evans returns. I think it's too early for Bucky Irving. I think it's too early for Chris Godwin. Another O-line injury for Tampa. And this is a backup guard that was injured today.
Yeah, I think it's the third right guard or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Zion McCollum, Benjamin Morrison. Those are 2 corners for them. They didn't play today, and neither of them practiced this week. So Tampa's going to be in pretty rough shape all around, but so are the Lions, man. Taylor Decker, like that injury, shoulder injury, might bother him all year. But the fact that he didn't play this week against the Chiefs leads me to believe that one's pretty serious. They have no cornerbacks right now. Terry and Arnold won't be back next week, so they're still going to be down like their top 4 corners. This game is just an absolute mess. And oh man, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to subjectively price this in my head. When I was watching Detroit start the game against Kansas City tonight, my first thought, knowing they play Tampa next week, was like, this is the week it's going to fall off for the Bucs. This is the game where they get trucked. But Detroit is just so beat up defensively. So beat up.
They are. Tampa's been really, I think, pretty susceptible to the pass and been good against the run, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm trying to look through now Tampa's schedule real quick, who they've played. Atlanta, Houston, Jets, Philly, Seattle.
Tampa, now second best run defense in the league. Yeah. They have Vita Vea, who's probably like one of the best run stoppers of the last decade. And yeah, now I almost feel the exact opposite, to be honest with you. As I sit here and think this through, it's like you might be getting the MVP of the league as a 5.5 point dog right now.
Yeah, and not that I hate to say it, but I mean, it doesn't seem to matter the situation and the personnel. And do I really believe that that's the case? No. I think they've had some favorable stuff happen for them earlier in the year. Shit.
Like I'm just wondering again, looking at look-ahead prices. So Detroit was 4.5, pretty much across market look-ahead. Like we're adjusting up because of the Ibuka injury for Tampa.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only real case you have there. This is tough. I was hoping we'd get a lower total. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think nowadays is with Tampa, Detroit, Washington, Dallas, not too challenging to identify games that are going to have a lot of points, and they're being priced appropriately, I think.
I don't know. I do think Detroit's going to be able to throw and put up points. Like I could see this being a Seattle-Tampa type of game from, last week. Like I could see that game state. It's still just a lot could go wrong.
Garrett in the chat brings up a great point. Dan Campbell undefeated ATS off a loss on a Monday in October when it's a waning crescent moon.
Well, that changes everything.
I know. We're going to have to really dig a little bit deeper into that one. We're going to get into our last game in a second. I'm just going to tell you the theme so far for me of going through these early numbers this week has been frustration in thinking that there would
be some opportunities that are easy to identify.
I was kind of I was at my desk earlier this afternoon, right after the witching hour. I quickly pulled up all the look aheads for last week. I'm like, you know what? Boom, boom. I think these ones are going to be great options. And then get to the show tonight and everything. I mean, I guess those are there's a reason those are low limit markets. But
is this our fault for starting the show later?
Yeah, I guess it is. Final game is the 10 p.m. Eastern time game, Monday Night Football. Seahawks hosting the Texans. Texans coming off of a bye week. Seattle -3, -105. Total 41.5. The bye week, I think, comes at a bad time for Houston in the sense that they didn't really have anyone injured or anything of that nature that needed to get healthy. Kind of maybe just killed some momentum that they had after that huge win over the Ravens. Seattle, defensively, suffering. Julian Love, Devin Witherspoon, both were limited on Friday. So I'm going to say those guys are probably 50-50. Reek Woolen had a concussion, didn't clear, had 3 limited practices. I'm going to guess he's closer to, let's say, 75%, maybe higher, but he's the least important I mean,
Does Seattle finally get tested with a good defense?
And does Houston?
I'm seeing everyone in the chat love Seattle, and I'm like,
there's nothing. If you only saw these teams play this year, you would be, and like you didn't know anything about these teams in the past or anything. You'd be like, how is Seattle not a 7-point favorite in this game?
Yeah, I get that.
I'm scared to death of Houston coming out of the bye week and having like some new wrinkles to the offense. That does bother me, but they're just a bad football team. Like the offense, Seattle has a significant edge on offense this year. Like for me, schedule adjusted EPA and success rate, I think Seattle's been a top 5 offense this year. I think Houston has probably been a bottom 8. And defensively, if Seattle's going to get anyone back, they're pretty much on par with Houston as well.
Mike Durso, CJ Stroud still their quarterback.
He's inaccurate. He's inaccurate downfield, but if that O-line, how's it going to hold? I don't know how that O-line's going to hold up. So
you made a point earlier today about Bonds being a little bit overrated, and I think maybe that's where we're at. Like, I struggle. Maybe this should be a full 3, or maybe a little bit more, like favoring Seattle.
Yeah, if
I don't think I've adjusted my perception of Seattle enough.
No, Seattle is solid.
A wagon.
Yeah, Darnold's playing well. They have both a good offensive and defensive unit. So you can have an off game for either of those units, and they should be...
Still can compete.
Yeah. I mean, I still think they run the ball a little bit too much on early downs, but their offense is so predicated on play action that they kind of just are willing to take a few shit plays here to open up some downfield options for them. And my frustration when I look at this game and the opening number here is I guess I had, without knowing a number in my head, an inclination to bet Seattle and the under in this game. But now that I see the numbers as they're presented in front of me, I don't really love either of them. That's sort of where I'm stuck here, you know?
This is one of the better Seattle prices in market. There is a little bit better. I'm wondering if I'm going to want a Houston team total under, like throughout the course of the week. That's kind of where my head is going. But I'm not ready to click either of these two.
Well, this is the best over price in market right now. I'm just not super interested in the over at 41.5 minus 0.5. I'm not. As it stands right now. Marcus says Stroud needs an O-line. He sure does. That's a rough one. All right. Well, we've covered all of them. We will recap everything in the newsletter that goes out tomorrow morning. If you're not signed up to the newsletter, you can do so. We'll put a link down in the description below. But if you just head over to the hammer.bet as well, you can read all of our articles that go out in the newsletter every single day. So everything will be recapped in there. All the injuries will be recapped. G-Stack George puts together a great rundown of all the injuries that are there. And of course, you can always find me in our Discord, which is live up next to me right now. Discord.gg/thehammer. /hammer, I should say, not the hammer. Discord.gg/hammer. Really quickly, just take a final look at the market right now. That Miami-Cleveland total at Fanduel is staring me in the face, 39.5. I just looking for, I don't know.
I don't really need the Chiefs at giving 10.5 either. Like I kind of.
Yeah. First and foremost, for any Canadians out there, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Hope you have a great day tomorrow. Enjoy it. I will as well with my family, but I will still be doing the Monday Night Football watch along. Undetermined yet whether I'm going to do that in our studio or if I'm going to do it in my home studio like I used to last year as well, but I will be on tomorrow night for both games. So we're going live at the start, about 15 minutes before the start of our first game, which is Bills Falcons. I'll be live 7 p.m. Eastern time, giving out props for that game as much as possible. We'll watch that. We'll watch Bears Commanders. We're going to figure out a way to make it all work. And of course, tune in. It's a great time. We always have a good time for these live watch-alongs. Appreciate everyone in the chat today, everyone who's listening after the fact. For myself, Rob Pizzola, for Clive Bixby, for our producer behind the scenes, Caustic Arrow, Pascal Prince. This has been another edition of the Sunday Reset right here on Forward Progress, presented by Fanduel. Peace out, everyone. Enjoy your night.